Welcome friends to another r/am I the jerk here video. Would somebody be a jerk for telling their stay-at-home wife to get a job? We'll find out, but first a story from TA account Newborn2. Am I the jerk for telling mom she'll no longer see wife or baby? So, me and my wife have a newborn who is breastfed. My wife hates confrontation. She never stands up for herself. She won't argue with anyone. Ever. I mean ever. She will let you walk all over her and then apologize to you. It used to be infuriating because she's the sweetest soul and she just lets people say what they want and she doesn't deserve it. But after talking, there's a good reason behind it, so we're working together how to fix this. Well, one thing was she always felt afraid. Not because she didn't want to, but because she knew it caused a confrontation breastfeeding anywhere but the house or in a bathroom or closet. And so we'll keep a blanket. It took a lot of explaining, but unless she's uncomfortable with breastfeeding just anywhere, there's no reason to hide in a bathroom. Well, we're at my mother's house. I don't have the best relationship with her, but my wife thinks it's important, and I enjoy talking to my dad. So we were over with the baby chatting with my father, and my mother cooking. As they were talking, she started feeding. Baby was eating, and she had a blanket covering her slightly. Dad has 6 kids, he couldn't give less of a crap. He looked away for a moment so she could get situated, and engaged back in conversation without any issue. My mother comes in, gasps, and goes on a rant. She said that it's disgusting, and if she was to do that, she should have gone home. Especially in front of her husband, who apparently looks uncomfortable. And it's rude to do when you know people around you don't like it. Dad cut her off, saying to keep him out of it and feeding a baby wasn't his issue. She ignored, continued ranting, saying that she needed to respect herself more, and don't ever do that in her house again. I stopped her. I said that she needed to get lost and get over herself. She had 6 kids who she undoubtedly did the same thing with, and this was just her way of taking her anger out, but she's not going to do it on her. I said that she was being a hypocritical jerk and that this is the last time she's seeing my wife or baby. This happened once and is not going to happen again. Then she said that she was just in a bad mood, and she's so sorry she took it out on her, and she's welcome to do whatever she needs to. I told her she should have thought about that before, then went to my wife, who mid-rant left the bathroom in hysterics, but didn't want to interrupt the baby's eating. We sat in the bathroom for a little while until the baby was done. She stopped crying. We left. My dad said I was being more reasonable than he would have. Mom sent me tons of messages. Family's telling me that I was being dramatic and that it wasn't that serious, and I was being entirely unreasonable, and if my wife was that hurt by it, she needed to grow thicker skin. She didn't even actually have an issue, she was just being mean. I think I was right to do what I did, but am I the jerk? If you ask me, if you have a mom over at your house who has a newborn baby, there should be some kind of expectation that there's probably going to be a feeding session that goes on. If the mom is totally uncomfortable, that's something that could be communicated and worked on. Maybe OP's wife could go to another room for a bit or something. But clearly in this situation, the dad had no issue and nobody had any issue, and the mom was making an argument just because. Do you think in a situation like this that OP's mom would have any right to be able to ask OP's wife to move to a different room while they were feeding the baby? Or would you guys say that's just kind of unreasonable or maybe even idiotic? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Our next story is from Internship O's. Am I the jerk for telling my roommate his autism isn't my problem? 19-year-old male. I took a summer internship program. There's 5 of us in the house. Adam, 19 to 25, I don't know, has been difficult to live with. He said he's autistic and is on the same internship as me. Adam refuses to pick up after himself and tells everyone it's because he hates touching gross things. So he doesn't do any trash or anything he considers gross. Last week, he tried to get me in trouble at work because he said I was discriminating against him at home. Our HR told him that it's not his problem. My roommates and I told Adam he has to chip in with bills and cleaning, and Adam refused. We stopped doing any of his chores and piling his dirty dishes and trash outside of his bedroom door. He took a picture and showed both HR again and our landlord. His mother showed up, flew out to clean up after him. She said she's staying for the rest of the summer, and we told the landlord, and he said she couldn't and she asked to pay. We got into a huge fight with Adam's mom, and she took him home. Adam's still responsible for his summer lease, and the landlord threatened to put an eviction notice on Adam's credit report. Adam's mom called the internship and tried to get me fired and tried to have us removed from the lease because we didn't give reasonable accommodations to her son. I don't think we're jerks, and we expected that Adam had to do his chores, and it wasn't our fault that he broke the lease. His mom keeps saying she's going to sue us, the landlord, and our company for not making reasonable accommodations for Adam. But we didn't bully him and just wanted him to do his dishes and pick up his trash. Admittedly, I feel kind of bad for Adam in a way because very clearly I'm assuming this was going to be an experiment and it very clearly did not work at all. But yeah, I think OP's not the jerk. It's not their responsibility to play caretaker for this person who's just paying for an accommodation for the room. It's just simply grossly unfair to expect that OP and the other roommates are going to totally pick up the slack and do extra because Adam struggles. This next story is from Kane Throwaway ACC. Am I the jerk for yelling at my brother after he insulted my wife? So, my wife is different than my family. She did not grow up the way I grew up. She's still breaking old habits. My wife was homeless for a really long time with both of her brothers. She took care of them for a long time while her parents were God knows where. She was 18, couldn't get in the system, and was terrified of bringing her brothers there. So they would hide behind dumpsters. Surprisingly, a lot of dumpsters are gated, and if they aren't, they have quite a bit of room in the back and sides of it. Due to this, she would find a way to get food, give it to her brothers, and would only eat when she had to. And when she did, it was horrendously little amounts. She doesn't look down on the fact that they were homeless, and rather that she got them out of that situation by herself. Now that you got the reason for this, here's the problem. My family has a lake house to go to for summers. This is the first summer married, everyone introduced, so why not? My wife rarely sees my brother because I rarely see my brother. While everyone was eating, we don't sit around the table like some would, we all kind of scatter. Now, bringing in what I've explained before, she still has irregular eating habits. Of course, we're working through it, but I can't force her to eat, and if I did, it wouldn't last opposed to if she did it herself. So I don't unless I see it going on for too long. Again, she usually eats after everyone else does. Well, when we all went to bed, she felt hungry and decided to go to the pantry. I heard commotion from the bedroom, and it was my brother raising his voice at her, accusing her of stealing from the pantry. Stealing what? Food? That our parents, the owners of the place, said she's welcome to? Okay. I came out, asked what's happening. My wife stays still, and my brother flat out says, "You're so blind, bro. Can't you see she's stealing from you? Now she's stealing from us too?" He cut her off. She was trying to explain that she would never. Not only that, but we keep the money separate. She was set on keeping it that way. He laughed and said, "You know what? That's what you get for marrying someone who has a criminal record." For what? Stealing? Stealing what? Food. I yelled and said that he needed to stop acting like a rich boy because I could have sworn him himself had a criminal record for stealing too. Only he was stealing for craps and giggles, and she was stealing because she was hungry. But I'm sure his wife would love to hear about that, since I guess she's a fool too for dating someone as delusional as him. Oh, and of course with a criminal record. We got our stuff and left. Of course, I got messages from him. Got messages from my mom saying I was immature and I acted like a child. She said I ruined the vacation. My dad's the only one who thinks I was in the right. Am I the jerk? Really don't think I am. I mean, who would just sit there and let someone say that? I think OP's definitely not the jerk. I think everything OP did here was totally justifiable. And the brother sounds like a real piece of work that can't understand other people having gone through different realities, upbringings, experiences. They make no effort to connect with OP's wife, and they have no conception of what it would be like to go through what she went through. No remorse, no concern for them, just wants to point fingers and put them down. Almost essentially saying that they're irredeemable because they struggled throughout life. By the way, if you're enjoying these stories, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below so you never miss any of my daily videos. Every single video has awesome stories, like our next story from an anonymous poster, Am I the jerk for telling my friend that he's a creep and women have every right to not like him? So my friend, 18-year-old male, let's call him Steve, has been my friend for about a year now. Steve goes on a lot of dates, and I started to notice that he never goes on a second date or even contacts the person again. I was always confused because from the way he acts with me and friends, he seems like a super nice and likable guy. And if it isn't him, it's still a little odd for every girl he's been on a date with to have had something wrong about them to where it never works out. Well, last night I finally found out. He went on a date with a close friend of mine, 19-year-old female. He didn't know about our friendship. After their date, my friend, let's call her Kay, called me to tell me about an awful first date she just had. She basically said that he started off the date flirting super hard and making inappropriate jokes. After the date, which was a very quick one, he immediately asked her to take her home. She refused, but he insisted, and he kept asking until she finally left and drove home. But not straight home. She realized he was following her and had to drive to her brother's house until he finally drove away. He also harassed her through texts shortly after she arrived home. About an hour after that call, I get another call, this time from Steve. Guess what? He wanted to complain about his awful date. Basically, he told me that he was taking a new route home and some stupid witch claimed he was following her. I asked him, well, what happened during dinner? And he told me that it was completely unrelated. He went on a whole rant about these hateful messages she sent. I asked him, well, can I see the messages? And he got super defensive and told me no and to take his word. At this point, I'm annoyed and a little mad. So I tell him that he's a literal creep and that this is probably normal behavior from him and that any women he acted like this to had every right to not like them. Apparently my words and tone hurt his feelings because he started crying and saying he has no one and just wants someone to like him. I started to feel bad, so am I the jerk? Or is he just playing victim and I'm slowly falling for it? Also, I'm meeting with my friend to hopefully contact Steve's past dates because this honestly seems like a problem. Little side note, I already have 2 of Steve's date stories, one being my friend and the other being a random girl he went out with. Both stories show similar, if not same, behavior from Steve. Oh, I think OP's definitely not the jerk. Steve is a bona fide creeper. This dude is following girls home who clearly have no interest in him. That alone is enough. This dude is insane. And then you call them out on it, they're probably crying not because they feel bad, because nobody wants them or wants to connect with them. It's probably because they feel bad they got caught. Or like OP suggested, they're just trying to create some kind of emotional confusion where they can appear like they're the victim. This next story is from Boryat. Am I the jerk for telling my stay-at-home mom wife to get a job? My wife and I have 2 kids, 7-year-old female and 2-year-old male. My wife's been a stay-at-home mom for 7 years now. I worked 2 jobs and had to get another job over the weekends to cover the extra bills after our 7-year-old had some health issues. Before my 3rd job, I did the housework over the weekends, and now I don't do anything around the house anymore. My wife said that she'll also stop doing the housework so that I can see how much she actually does. I told her I know she does all the housework and I respect that. She also does the childcare, most of it. The past 2 weeks, my wife stopped doing any housework at all. No laundry, cooking, grocery shopping, etc. 2 days ago, I asked her why she hasn't been doing any work, and she said she wants a housekeeper, and we should put the 2-year-old male to kindergarten so that she can have time for herself. I told her we could only afford that if she gets a really good job, which she won't because she's been out of her field for so long. She said she's done being my maid. I told her I work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. every weekday. And now also 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the weekend. I told her if she gets a job, not even a very high-paying one, I can quit one of my 3 jobs and take care of the kids too, so that she doesn't have to be a stay-at-home mom. She called me a jerk for suggesting she doesn't do enough already and told me to just find more work and be a real provider. Am I the jerk? I don't think OP's the jerk, and if you ask me, doesn't sound like much of a partner. Sounds more like a selfish lead weight, just ready to sink the whole family and living conditions of your family. because, I don't know, maybe they've just gotten too used to the lazy life, not doing anything. They want to just be pampered and do absolutely nothing. I just feel bad for OP because how do you fix something like that? Our next stories from Throwaway are AI. Am I the jerk for not defending my bio mom? I, female, 27, am a black woman, adopted into an Indian family. Important. I was adopted young, as my bio mom didn't want any children. When someone in my family got married, we all went and it was a big party. Beautiful bridal jewelry, dresses, and so many colors. I loved it. Though marriage wasn't my end goal, I knew that when I had my wedding, it would be big and colorful. For more important information, my bio mother got in contact with my adopted mom 3 years ago, asking to meet me, and I did. I slowly allowed her back into my life, and though my mom and dad, adopted, didn't care much for her, they tried their best for me, and that brings us to now. I'm getting married soon, and we've been planning for a beautiful wedding. My fiance and I are very excited, and so are my parents. In the early stages, I noticed my mom wasn't feeling a lot of the things we were doing, but I tried to keep her involved. Mom, do you want me to teach you how to drape a sari? I think you'd like it. My clothes are just fine. I've tried so hard to share the culture I grew up with her, but she just seemed so uncomfortable. Before the incident, I gifted her some gold earrings from when I went to India years back, and I found one on the floor, and I don't know where the other went. But I never brought it up since I figured it was an honest mistake. A couple weeks ago, me and my mom, adopted, were discussing my wedding dress and bridal jewelry, and when I mentioned the dress being red, my mom cut in. She was confused, so I showed her a picture, and my mom, adopted, asked what the problem was. Ignoring my adopted mom, she turns to me and says, "I just always pictured my daughter in white for her wedding, not all this." I explained to her that it was normal, but she continued. She talked down the dress and everything, especially the bridesmaids being too flamed up and taking the spotlight. I tried suggesting a second small wedding or even a white wedding shoot just so she can hang it up, but she wasn't having it. My mom said that I needed to stop trying to play dress up. My adopted mom then said she couldn't come, and I gently agreed. My bio mom won't speak to me now, and I feel like a big jerk. I feel like if I had educated her better, she wouldn't have been so blindsided. I don't want her to feel like I'm abandoning her. I just want her to be more considerate of the culture I was raised with. I know I can't ask my parents since they're biased, so I'll ask here, am I the jerk? How could I have handled this differently? I mean, unless you want to go and give them crazy amounts of prep before getting to this point, which frankly, I'm not convinced would have actually have made a difference or not. I think the end result was probably going to end up being pretty inevitable. I mean, I just wish the best for OP, and I hope that despite everything, it doesn't outright ruin their relationship with their bio mom, and that they do have the wedding of their dreams. Our next story is from Hank's Free. Am I the jerk for not helping my ex-wife? Let me start this off by saying I, 45-year-old male, was an awful person in my 30s. I did drugs, I was selfish, I wrecked my marriage, and was horrible towards my then wife. At the end of our marriage, she got pregnant, but she miscarried, and that was what really ended the marriage. After the divorce, I went to rehab, got clean, and have now been sober for 7 years. I got a good job and rented an apartment that I still live in. I even managed to save up some money. My life is really good now. I have an amazing fiancé. My ex moved on and remarried, but never managed to have kids. She's 39 now and is trying to get pregnant via IVF. She recently contacted me and asked me to pay for the IVF treatment because she says the miscarriage she had caused her so many problems that she'll never get pregnant naturally. She has a minimum wage job and is paying off a lot of debt. So is her husband, and they can't afford IVF now. I told her I'll have to talk to my fiancé about it, but I don't feel comfortable paying for her IVF. I talked to my fiancé. She said that's a ridiculous request. I called my ex and told her I won't be paying for the IVF. She called me selfish and said it's my fault that she can't get pregnant anymore because the miscarriage was my fault anyway. Am I the jerk? I think OP's not the jerk. Would you guys agree with me that even when they were together and having that miscarriage, if that did affect things, that ultimately it's not OP's responsibility whether they can or can't have kids later on in life at all? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. This next story is from Alaskan Bullworm 1000. Am I the jerk for refusing to give my little cousin my stuffed animal? I, 20-year-old female, was gifted an adorable stuffed avocado from my boyfriend near the time he had asked me to officially be his girlfriend. I've cherished it ever since, even if it was something as simple as a small stuffed animal. Yesterday, my two little cousins, 10-year-old male and 7-year-old female, spent the night, and I allowed them to take to my room. In the morning when I entered my room, I saw that my 7-year-old cousin had dug through my stuff and found my stuffed avocado. She had instantly loved it and was playing with it. I just reminded her that it's not good to go through people's things, but I told her it was okay to play with it. She asked if she could have it, and I told her sorry that she couldn't and it was mine. She became a little whiny, but I left her in the room and allowed her to play with it. When my uncles came to pick up my cousins, my little cousin still had the avocado in her hand and was showing my uncle. He kept insisting that she wanted it and was persistent about it. My uncle then came to me and had to ask me if she can have it. I told him sorry but no, and didn't explain any further as I felt like I didn't need to. My little cousin then began to cry and whine about it. I told her it's okay because she had many other toys at home and this one small thing is mine, so she can't have it. My uncle had a surprised, almost disappointed look on his face, but left with my little cousins as she continued to cry. I refused to let my guard down about it, but I'm not sure because it's a very small possession. I'm no one to judge someone else's parenting skills, but I've always felt my uncle greatly enabled my little cousin when he would judge my parents' parenting skills prior to having kids of his own. So am I the jerk? I think OP's definitely not the jerk. I think regardless of what anybody thinks of your possession, from an outsider's perspective, they think it's just some dumb little stuffed avocado. If you have legitimate sentimental value in whatever it is that you own, anything, no matter how little or how big, could be invaluable to you. And having something like that reminds you of a good moment with somebody that you care about a lot, an item that immortalizes a moment that you've cherished ever since you got it, I don't think you have to explain to anybody why you deserve to keep that. This next story is from OKInternal969. Am I the jerk for telling my brother he would need to come to my wedding alone if he wants an invitation? My brother's family is messy. He's been married 3 times, has 5 kids between the first 2 marriages, divorced wife number 3 a couple of years ago, and is currently dating a known alcoholic who still drinks. His first marriage ended because my brother decided he wanted to be with someone else. That relationship broke up. Wife number 2 came along not long after. They were married for 4 years, had 3 kids, one after the other, but ultimately she couldn't deal with my brother's oldest kids not wanting her around and treating her badly. That marriage ended more brutally than his first. More than a decade later, he was married to wife number 3 when the past came back up, and his kids from the second marriage started hating their older siblings for breaking up the family and not being remorseful about it. The older kids said that they hadn't liked the younger kid's mom and had no regrets about pushing her out of their lives. They cannot be in the same room today without fighting. Between this and the kids of the second marriage disliking the third wife, that marriage ended. The older kids said it was funny how the younger ones didn't like their dad's wife, and that was okay, but they were horrible for not liking the younger sibling's mom. My brother tries to make everyone get along, but they don't want to. Now he's dating someone who's shown up drunk to so many things and has actually caused a couple of scenes. Because of this, I don't want them near my wedding. Not my nieces and nephews and not the new girlfriend. I brought this to my brother after he mentioned coming to my wedding. He told me at 55 he should be able to bring whoever he wants, and I should stop treating him like a child. I told him it wasn't me treating him like a child, but about me protecting my wedding. That I would only invite him if he comes alone. He believes I'm a jerk for putting a rule on him like this. Is he right? I think OP's not the jerk in this situation. You're having a wedding and you know that a certain subset of your family is going to be cutthroat and ruthless. No matter what you do, history says that these people will not get along if they're in the same spot. And frankly, a girlfriend who shows up and crashes events, You also just don't want to take that risk on your wedding. So while the brother may take it personally, I don't think OP's a jerk for having that stipulation. This next story is from Weekly Character 9202. Am I the jerk for telling my husband to quit calling me while I'm at work? I'm 31-year-old female, an esthetician, and I do facials. I had a 90-minute one today. It's our most expensive, $200. I keep my phone on Do Not Disturb in the drawer so I can check in between clients if anyone was trying to get a hold of me or tell me something. Everyone that's important knows when I work and they know to text. If they do call, they get the hint after the first try when it goes to voicemail. Today, my husband kept calling me repeatedly and it started vibrating. It was during the facial massage and the lady looked right at me. I didn't say anything since it was quiet and that's supposed to be relaxing. So I finished up and at the end I apologized. I said it was on Do Not Disturb, but they must have kept calling. She said she didn't even hear it. She seemed happy with everything, tipped 20%. Well, after I saw it was my husband and I got pissed. He's done this before. He knows to call the front desk if it's an emergency and text anything else and I'll see it in between clients. It was 12:30. He knew I was working until 1. He had a tire appointment at 2 and was trying to tell me to take the around route home because there's a highway backup. Okay, he could have texted that and I would have seen it when I'm leaving. So I blew up at him and told him to quit doing this, and I told him the client was mad, even though she wasn't. And he said, well, she can just stay mad. I told him to quit it or I'll get fired. And he said, so? You don't want to work anyways? I only work a little bit and it's just a small side income. He pays for everything and I don't have to work. I complain a lot, but I do like it usually. He told me if I didn't want it to ring, then keep it in another room. Extremely inconvenient to check in between clients, especially to know if something's life or death. And it's my problem, not his. Anyways, I just learned I can turn it off, so repeat calls don't ring either. So I did that. Otherwise, I was just going to block him during work shifts. So am I the jerk? Oh, I definitely think OP's not the jerk here. You've expressed a very clear limitation that anybody should be able to respect. Your own husband is not respecting a very simple ask. You don't want to be called during your work shift as long as it's not an emergency, and they're not afraid to say right to your face, no, I'm going to keep doing it. Just a total lack of respect. And our final story of the day is from Mojo Will 95. Am I the jerk for telling my stepdaughter she can be whatever she wants on Halloween? So I, 27-year-old female, have the honor to be the stepmother of a sweet, imaginative, and wonderful little girl, 6. Her father and I get her every other weekend at the moment, and she lives with her mother and stepdad the rest of the time. We alternate holidays every year, i.e. she was at her mom's last year for Halloween, so she'll be with us this year. One day, about 2 weeks ago, I was driving her back to our house, and the topic of what she wants to be for Halloween came up. This little girl had a 10-year plan for what she wants to dress up as. She's told me for a while now that she wants to be Ariel from The Little Mermaid this year. I told her that absolutely we can do that. Well, cut to yesterday. I'm driving her to our house after picking her up from her mom's house, and the topic of Halloween comes up again. It's her favorite holiday, as well as my own. She all of a sudden says, Jacob, not the real name of stepdad, says that Halloween's for scary things only, not cute things, that going as a mermaid was dumb. And she said her mom agreed. Luckily, we were at a red light, so I looked back at her. She was clearly upset and was starting to tear up. I was getting real upset with her. This is not the first time that her other parents have told her something was dumb or stupid for liking. I told her that Halloween is the time of year when you can be anything you want. That's the point. I told her that her idea was not stupid and that she'll be with us this year, so if she wants to go as Ariel or a barrel, we don't care, and she's gonna be cute no matter what. She thought that going as a barrel was a funny idea and it made her laugh. However, she still thinks that going as a mermaid is stupid and is now trying to think of something scary. My heart hurts for her. But am I the jerk for going against her mother's feelings about Halloween? I'm always afraid of overstepping boundaries in that department. My husband says not to worry because she'll be with us, so she can pick whatever. I think OP's not the jerk here. Let's put it this way. It's one thing to decide by yourself to switch what school the daughter goes to, or that the daughter's now going to follow a very specific diet that only you have set, or even maybe something like you decided to get her hair cut in a drastically different way. Doing that kind of stuff would probably make you the jerk without getting any kind of clarification from the mom. But encouraging her to dress up as whatever she wants to be for Halloween? I don't see how you can be the jerk for that. And I agree with OP, it's kind of saddening to see the stepdad and mom's reaction. I'd rather see them encouraging the creativity and the dreams of being Ariel for Halloween. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another Am I the Jerk Here story that was even more insane than any of the ones in this video, click on that left video. Or if you missed my latest video, click on the right. But with that said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.